All right, cool. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the George and AJ podcast. And in actual fact, why not? Let's ask for listeners in the comment section below to suggest a name for this. Because if we're going to do it weekly, I think we should have a name. Because the George and AJ podcast, quite frankly, is crap.
It's basic, kind of basic
it's
shit.
As basic as it could get, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think we should get listeners to suggest a name. Comment below in the comment section, or even DM us just an idea for a name for this, and then we'll rock and roll with one of them, and we'll get it all logoed up. We'll do some fancy thumbnails, and then we're rocking and rolling. So, guys, I hope you're all good. Thank you very much for tuning in again. Me and George were talking off air about how kind of surprised we are, I guess, with the amount of views that this consistently gets. You know, I appreciate like the one-off where, you know, George came on for the first time as more of a guest. And now I would say that George is definitely a co-host of this podcast. And, you know, the fact that we get consistent views is pretty damn cool. But we're going to keep them coming on a weekly basis, ideally, at minimum bi-weekly. So you can look forward to that. And obviously you've got plenty to look forward to this year with me continuing my off-season and coaching George through his first ever prep, and you obviously see George's first ever prep unfold. So, and that's very much a process that he'll be willing to share on the multiple of platforms that he's on. So, I guess let's roll into what we usually roll into at the start of each podcast and catch up on what the last 6 days since we last recorded. What have the last 6 days been like for you, mate? What have you been up to? How have sessions gone? Just give us a bit of a roll through the last sort of week.
I always have to try and remember what I did. Like it's hard to sometimes remember actually what did I do. But I don't think I've done too. I haven't done too much. I haven't seen the missus or anything like that for a good week now, which makes me a little bit sad.
Oh, okay. Is she away or is she just busy?
Well, obviously she works and stuff like that, and she lives an hour away from me, so it's not like we can go up and see each other all the time. So we base upon when I see her, it's based upon when she's free, if you know what I mean? It's not when she's kind of free. And her shifts are all over the place and stuff like that, so it's a bit of a nightmare. But I always look forward to seeing her, but that's a different topic.
It's nice though. I think it's nice to have that, like, for a while with Danny, it was like I'd see her maybe most weekends. And you always look forward to that a lot.
Definitely.
I must admit, like I'm around Danny like a lot now. She's basically living here for the most part, and I can't complain about that as well, mate. Because
definitely,
it's nice to have them around, you know, every single day. But I know what you mean. It's kind of nice. You look forward to it.
So, sometimes, although I love her being around and stuff like that, sometimes I love looking forward to my own bed as well. Just that little aspect of it as well. But look forward to seeing her at some point, hopefully this week or next week or whatever. What I've been doing normally is just eating, training, sleeping. Sleep's actually been a bit of a mess lately. Waking up every kind of 2 hours, you know, just disrupted. Not really sure. Nothing's changed, if I'm honest with you. It's just very disruptive, and I'm up going to the toilet, which I always do, but it's just every 2 hours I'm kind of like waking up at the same time, looking at my phone at the exact same time. I think, fuck's sake, like, what's happening there? But I'm sure that will just kind of go eventually. And I normally just go.
Do you look at your phone and go through any messages, or do you just literally look at the time?
I just literally look at the time. Just, I don't know why, just to kind of see what's going on. Training-wise, training's been pretty good. I've hit some decent numbers this week. Trying to get back into barbell back squatting, something I neglected years ago, just simply because I had a trapped nerve in my hip once, and it just put me off, and I haven't really got back into it, but slowly getting back into it, and they're getting a lot better over time. Hit some good numbers. I'm quite happy with my depth, although they just don't feel right. You know, when you do something and you just don't feel right, but it actually looks all right. It's one of those at the moment, but they're slowly feeling better. Like normally I'll come off and I'll be hobbling, holding my lower back, but no, it's all good so far. They're getting better, which is good. Here's some good numbers on my incline dumbbell press. Hit the 45 for 6, which is quite good. It's a low incline though. Obviously, it was a little bit higher. I probably wouldn't do the 45 for 6, but quite like the low incline for myself, especially for the bicep tendonitis. Did you know we was on about last week? I said how I just pick up a dumbbell and I just see how many I get with like weighted dips. I thought, I see you doing like the 40s and stuff like that. I've been watching. What did I watch? I watched you and Bridget do the push session. And you 40 kilos, and I always try and watch people who are kind of similar to me, and I think we are similar to some degree in certain aspects of the train. And I looked at that and I think, you're doing the 40s. I thought, fuck it, I'm going to pick up a 40 kilo dumbbell, put it between my legs, see how many I got, and I got 7. So that was
that's strong.
That was
that's
quite
especially with the dumbbell.
Yeah, I can do a little bit more with a dip belt.
Yeah,
I
you would.
remember back in the day, I did a little bit more, but yeah, dumbbells are a fucking nightmare. But apart from that, I tried deadlifting yesterday as well. That was a nightmare, and it really like I put in the forum. I said that it just really like annoys me when
Yeah.
I psych myself up for it all night, and then all morning when I do like a deadlift or something like that, I prepare myself, and then when it comes to it, and it just flops. Like I was warming up 100 kilos, and I was like holding my lower back. I was like, I've got to sit down here. It's too much pain. And it just like really kind of put me off, if you know what I mean, for the rest of the session. So the rest of the session was a bit of a slug. But
What
apart
sort
from
of
that,
pain is it, mate? Is it like a locked up feeling, or is it?
yes, it's like a locked up kind of just yeah. I pretty much know what it is. It's something to do with my hips. I know, especially on my right hand side. I think it because when I have that trapped nerve in my hip, it just hasn't got 100% better. But
Yeah.
I need to invest some money into kind of getting massage and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I will definitely do that. Apart from that, nutrition wise, been fine. No Pepe's. I haven't had that for a week, which I'm pretty sad about. But looking forward to having that. Um, everything's good. Yeah, everything's good. Yeah, pretty much it. That's about it for me. Nothing special, same old shit, really.
Good. You
Yourself?
you hit and you hit. Have you hit besides the dip? Have you hit any other sort of lifts that you're pretty proud of this week? Have you got the hack squat coming up or anything like that?
The hack squat I was doing, what I did, I didn't do that this week. I did it last week. I did 130 for seven. That's what, three plates and a five. And it pisses me off because I started on two plates and a half. Now I'm on three and a five.
That's
But
good.
yeah, after watching you do like four and a bit, I was like, fuck's sake. It just pisses me off, but I'm gonna make sure if we come up, if we have the rotation when I come up, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna fucking hit some better numbers. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Push myself a little bit, but
Yep.
yeah, yeah, that pissed me off. Yeah, I think yeah, that's all right because I don't see a lot of people do three plates in my gym, but then I see you doing four, and I'm thinking, fuck's sake, and it looks easy. So yeah, that pissed me off slightly, but I'm sure I'll use it as motivation.
I
But
think,
apart from
yeah,
that,
mate. Honestly, this is what people need to realize with the hack squat thing or any lift. Like use it as motivation. Like I've trained with people that just shit on me on
yep,
lifts, and I trained like with Mark Claxton once, and I think he
yep,
out hack squatted me by like two or three plates, and I'm like, this is just I'm being ridiculed here. So I like to train with people like that because it does really open your eyes and start to make you think, fuck, like I've got a lot of work to do to catch up to these people.
yeah,
And with regards to I was going to say something about the back squat and my opinions on that. So I think that I was going to say, oh yeah, one thing, like maybe consider for you programming wise, and this is something that listeners can take away as well, is like when you're trying to get into a movement that doesn't feel so good initially, so like feels like you're not really. And one of my clients that actually asked this, he was like, "Am I meant to like feel like good contractions on a squat? Am I meant to feel it like in the right place? Am I meant to feel it in my legs afterwards?" I'm like, yeah, like after you've done the set and you've racked it, you
mm,
should feel like you've used your legs. Like that's an
yeah,
absolute must. If you feel like all you've done is shatter your CNS and beat yourself up and use your upper back and lower back and lumbar, and if you feel like you've done that, then that's not an effective squat. But for you, like maybe to make it feel good and to spend some time like adapting to it neurologically, I'd program it all in higher rep ranges. You'll have noticed that when I got back into back squatting, I didn't do very many low rep sets.
hmm,
Most of my sets were like chasing that 180 for 10.
okay,
And then when I got that 180 for 10, that's the only point at which now I might consider doing some low rep work because I feel more comfortable and confident to go for that, but still like elicit an actual hypertrophy response
yeah,
because I know that I can make those, 4 or 5 reppers actually count as opposed to like just risking it for a 5 repper.
yeah,
So yeah, if someone's new to a movement, a big compound, not like new to a bicep curl, like new
yeah,
to a big compound, program it in high rep ranges and just get really like neurologically adapted to it, and then you'll be good for your like low rep range top set. It's the
yeah,
same with the hack, the CYBEX hack. The more one of the big tips for you as well, and anyone listening, like when you're warming up on the CYBEX hack, don't be afraid with the warm ups to go like pretty reppy,
mm,
because what I've found with it, and this is something that I messed up massively, is I'd warm up like really managing fatigue,
yeah,
and I'd never quite get my groove. And the groove on that hack is so important.
hmm,
You need to be in the groove. Like, the groove when you get a rep and you can just sort of like, if you're blindfolded, like in Bird Box. You can just
Yeah,
go
yeah,
down and like get the rep, and like it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah,
You don't have to think
yeah.
too much. Those are the reps that you want from rep 1 of your top set. And the
Hmm.
issue I was having is rep 1 of my top set. I was always like, always my feet in the right place,
Mm.
placing pressure in the right point of my foot, on my outer foot or inner foot. Like, was thinking too much, and that
Yeah,
first rep would always be shit as a result. It would move all right, but it'd just be shit. My foot positioning would have to be changed.
yeah.
So I always think about doing quite reppy warm ups. Like with 2 plates, I'll do like, anywhere between 10 and 15 reps, but just
Wow.
like
Yeah,
really, really getting in the groove with it. It's still a pretty low fatigue set, but getting in the groove. And then
yeah.
coming into like 3 plates and 3.5, I'll drop it down to like 4 or 5 reps. And then maybe a 1 repper with 4 plates, just to feel that, and then go from there.
Yeah.
But I'm slowly eking my way. That brings me into my update a little bit. Slowly eking my way into understanding that machine a bit more.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, and you experienced this as well, we've had very similar progressions on that machine. It's like, it's persistence. It's a
Of course.
machine.
Yeah.
It's a machine that makes you want to give the fuck up on it after the
Oh
first
yeah.
week,
Yeah.
because you get humbled by it, and you're like, screw this. This is gonna look awful on Instagram when I film a hack squat with like 2 plates or 3
Yeah.
plates. When I came from the other one at Underground where I was doing like 5, 6 plates a side,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I got humbled by fucking 3 plates, and I was like, this
Yeah.
is garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very much
Um,
the same.
so yeah, it's just a case of persistence with that machine. Um, so yeah, and other than that, have you ever thought about using a belt with your back squats?
Yeah, I do use a belt now.
Oh, you do?
I found a lot better. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't use a belt before, but now I felt a lot more, just overall, like, just stability. I feel a lot better, and my back feels just. I finished the set and I'm not hobbling about. I feel quite good. I feel like right, I'm ready to go another set now.
Perfect.
So yeah, belts really helped, which is good.
That's
Happy
good.
days.
And has there been any changes to your split at all recently, or have you kept with the same split for quite some time now?
Quite some time.
Yeah.
It's probably been in regards to progress wise. It's probably been my best split from that. Like my push pull legs, don't get me wrong. I found maybe it was probably down to my programming a little bit, and I always wanted to lower back load in sessions and stuff like that. But now that extra day I've had, especially in regards to frequency of training the muscle part, I found that my progress has just been 2 rotations. Bam, progress has been really good. Like I've never 100 kilos has never felt on a barbell bench press has never felt so good in my life.
Boom.
I'm doing some stuff which I've never done before, which is cool. So yeah, that side of things, I'm all good.
That's what we
I
want.
just need to learn a little bit on my side of things, programming wise, because I've always been, I don't know, I see people doing other stuff, and I think I want to incorporate that into mine. I need to remember I'm a little bit different to everyone else and stuff like that. And I feel like, for example, like barbell rows, stuff like that. You posted and you said that if you're missing like this aspect of your training, it's going to show in your back shots. And there's me thinking, fuck, I need to change something now, sort of thing. But in my situation, I don't really need to, because what I'm doing at the moment is currently working. And that's what I always want to say to people, is just because what you see others do on social media doesn't mean you actually need to exactly follow them.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot of people were in the same position as me when they read that post and said, fuck, I'm not doing any barbell rows or anything like that. Maybe I need to start changing my split. You don't need to, just because one individual has said that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
if any listeners out there,
Absolutely.
I've got your back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I absolutely agree, mate. I think there's a degree of knowing what suits you, knowing what your individual capacity is for, especially like movements that involve lower back loading, like so individual in terms of how much you can recover from on that front.
Yep.
And people need to understand when and where it's applicable. Like, even like Thorburn, to mention him, like again, we always mention him.
Yeah.
But him getting back into deadlifts, like he posted up some deadlifts. He hadn't done them in like a massively long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do them. Like he just
Yeah.
couldn't do them because of his injuries. So, him trying to put a deadlift in at the wrong point because other people were deadlifting, and he thought there was bang for his buck on a deadlift, then it would just been stupid, because there's no bang for your buck when you can't do it injury free.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and it's like it's even like this step thing that I put on my story the other day about having low steps, and you've talked about this as well.
Yeah.
It's like you can't have low steps sometimes, and that's
Yeah.
that's fine. You just have to admit that you're not going to be able to control your steps. Like, cool. Don't think you can't achieve like great results without having, you know, sub 7,000 steps. You can,
Hmm.
you can. You
Definitely.
just got to be able to understand that, you know, some of your training might take a little bit of a hit due to the amount of walking that you're doing. But yeah, it's a individual variability thing that you just got to control.
Definitely.
So yeah, besides that, what else has happened in my week? So my week itself, training wise, hit like pretty good numbers on all of my leg training this week. The
Yeah.
200 set, the 200 kilo set, I really wasn't meant to do at all. Like that
Hmm.
wasn't part of the plan whatsoever.
Yeah.
If anything, this is like another thing that listeners can take on board. Is I went into that session thinking that it was going to be like meh, like it wasn't going to be that good, because I thought, you know, with the lack of kit that I had, I didn't have my belt, I didn't have my normal knee sleeves. I just had to like go out and pick up some new Converse, which didn't feel the same, because new shoes don't feel the same as your old ones.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is just gonna be like a bit meh. I'll see how it feels on the warm ups, and we'll just go from there. And if it has to be a session where I potentially have to back down a little bit on loading, then I had to. But everything just felt fine.
Yeah.
And then I just borrowed a belt and went for like 190, which I'd done the week prior for my top set. So the plan was to do like 190 and then drop down to 180 for my back offs and just get the back off work done. But I did 190 for 7, and unfortunately, like Chris in the gym, you'd have seen on a few of my posts recently, like
Yeah.
he just basically ridiculed me into doing 200.
Uh,
He just
yeah.
said you have to put 200 kilos on the bar. So when he tells me to do something, when everyone tells me in the gym to do something, like if they want to see it done, then I'll just do it.
Yep.
As long as it's not like completely retarded, then I'll just do it. So yeah, I did it. Got 3. Like I probably, looking back at the video, probably could have got 4.
Yeah.
It felt very, very heavy for 3 though,
Hmm.
especially having done 190 previously. So, but I plan to do like I plan to like rinse 200
Of
for
course,
like
you definitely will.
good sets over the course of this year.
Hands down.
But
Definitely.
it was good to get it on my back. 'Cause, funnily enough, I don't think I've had 200 kilos on my back in like, wow, like a long time. It must be coming
Yeah.
up to like 2 years. Two
Wow.
years. Because the last time I did it was maybe a little bit longer than that. Actually, no, definitely 2 years. Definitely 2 years. Because the
Wow.
last time I did it was like just before I started prep, or just, I think it was New Year's of 2017. So
Wow.
yeah, like New Year's of
Yeah.
2017. So 2 years. And it was maybe just before New Year's, because I think I set it as like a 2016 goal to squat 200 kilos. And I think I ended up getting it for 4. I might have even got 5. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's 4. I was a bit heavier, but still,
Mm.
like that. That just shows like how a contest prep just ruins your strength, because
Yep.
I basically lost all of my squat strength. I went back down to like baseline levels of strength on my squat, and then I
Yeah.
only reintroduced it like 6 months ago. So it's taken me 6 months to drive it back up to pretty much peak strength.
Mm.
And in contrast, I'm now squatting in flats as
Yeah.
opposed to squatting in the squat shoes, which I was using in the past, which I actually don't think gave me any benefit. If anything, I think
Mhm.
they made my squat a little bit less stable, because I found quite often with the elevated heel, I was rolling onto my toes a lot. So the bottom of the squat probably wasn't as powerful as I am now, because I feel really planted in the Converse.
Yeah.
So like you said with the Vans, you know, anything
Yeah.
with a flat sole is pretty damn good for leg training.
Hmm.
With the CYBEX hack and the Converse, feels like amazing. I think
Mm.
the addition of the higher sole with the Converse as well, and the fact that you can really tie the sole, not the higher sole, the higher shoe,
Yeah.
and you can really tie it tight around your sort of ankle area, just
Yep.
makes it feel damn good. So
Definitely.
yeah, I
Yeah.
recommend Converse, or of course
All right.
Vans.
Vans. Yeah.
Yeah,
Vans Converse.
for
Same.
leg
Yeah.
training.
100%.
They feel good. They feel good.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then like push training was good. Obviously had a session with Bridgman. That was actually pretty recent. I might have actually recorded the podcast the day before. I think the Bridgman session was the day before we recorded. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Um,
we spoke about it last time.
okay, sure.
Yeah.
So I covered that. Other than that, like pressing seems to be going pretty well, especially
Yeah.
with regards to depth. Like depth was something that I sacrificed, and a lot of people listening will probably be like, "Fuck yeah, I've done the same." I think
Yep.
everyone does now and again.
Of
Like when
course.
you're chasing numbers on a pressing movement, you're bound to see some issues with your depth going to shit at some point. So yeah, my depth went to shit, to be honest. With some of my loading sets, so I
Yeah.
was like, right, I can't have this happen again. Especially if I want a decent chest, like I've got to be able to take it through its fullest range.
Yeah.
So yeah, reset a lot of that ages ago, and now it's pretty much back up to full strength with
Brilliant.
full range.
Brilliant. Happy
So
days.
it's good to see, and it feels so much better. Like it
Of
feels
course.
like
Yeah.
I'm after every set, I feel like I'm actually using my chest,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
And
I've had
then
that.
other than that, deadlifts, I sort of have reintroduced conventional deadlifts again. They
Yeah.
felt pretty smooth the other day. Again, like funnily enough, George, I had a issue with my lower back like quite a while back actually. I like really twinged it
Mhm.
on a pull that I did once. It was basically after being in a car for too long.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I
then
remember that.
pulling.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and that was so frustrating. I was like, this is the first time I've ever got injured pulling. And I
Mhm.
know what you mean about how it knocks your confidence, like
Of
your
course.
hip
Yeah.
and stuff like that, because it really did knock my confidence for a bit. So I thought, right, how can I take the pressure off my lower back? So I pulled sumo for a bit.
Mhm.
Sumos went well, progressed them quite drastically, but it's not the same. It's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
same. It
It's
doesn't
not.
give you the same feeling that conventional pull does.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. So I'm taking back the conventional pull, and I think doing the sumos definitely drove up my conventional pull a bit because
Yeah.
I'm feeling really powerful, especially in phases of the pull where I was a little bit weak,
Mhm.
just above my knee. So I'm tempted to see how I feel tomorrow because the plan would be to rotate back round to push tomorrow. Um, I'm really tempted to see how I feel and see if I could rotate back round to pull and then push and then legs, just to
Mhm.
see if I can start getting that rotation in. Because if I could go pull, push, legs, I think that might be a little bit more favourable if I wanted to deadlift on a pull day. Because at the moment my rotation's push, pull, legs.
Yeah.
And when I'm pulling the day before leg day, it just doesn't quite add up.
Mm.
Like I'm going into my leg days, even if they're still productive, I'm going into my leg days with some degree of lower back fatigue from pulling. And also, I'm always pretty much going to my leg days with, especially if I'm doing a back squat, I'm going to my
Mm.
leg days with a fatigued upper back, which for a low bar back squat is quite frankly crap. You don't want that at all.
Absolutely.
You want a fresh upper back. So
Yeah.
I might see if I can squeeze in pull tomorrow, then push on Friday, and then legs on Saturday. And then Sunday is JP's seminar. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to sunny Scunthorpe for that. I think I said that in the last
Yeah, you
podcast.
did. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and I'll obviously update you guys on how that one goes. But I think it's all about contest prep, rebounding out of a contest prep and things like that. And obviously I'll bring like quite a few questions from a non-assisted side, especially with regards to like fat loss supplements for a non-assisted, like your Himbine and things like that. I want to know his opinion on those.
Yep.
So yeah, excited for that.
Exciting
Obviously
stuff.
excited to see JP in person. I've only seen him in person once at Body Power, so
Yeah.
excited to see him in person again, see how big he is.
It's always that side of things. When you go to Body Power as well, it's always crazy to see like them, like especially the pros in person. And if you think, fuck me, they're so much bigger, like
Yeah,
so much bigger.
yeah.
Like
Like you
I
don't you
remember.
don't understand how big these people are until you see them in person. You're like,
Oh yeah,
holy
of
shit,
course.
you are ginormous.
I saw Luke Sando walking around last year, and oh my god, I was like, wow, couldn't stop looking at him.
Yes.
And I know, yeah, you just start looking at him like, wow. But yeah, you going Body Power? Are you going Body Power
Yeah, I'll
next
be at Body
this year?
Power because I'll be at the A-list booth
Yeah.
again. So that'll be great actually. And obviously I'll still be in Brum at that point, so
Mm.
I'll be able to literally just travelling on the day. It's not far to the NEC from here, so be able to travel in on the day, and then obviously train as normal, eat as normal. Because last time it was
Yeah.
just hectic. Like with
Oh
food,
yeah.
my food was crap over
Yep.
bodybuilder weekend, and I don't really like that. I don't really like not being consistent too much.
Yeah. I think
Like
it's
me
good.
and Danny
Yeah.
were actually just saying the other day, and I'm sure plenty of people are feeling the same. It's just so nice to be back in routine. Like we were
Yeah.
all over the place over Christmas with travel, with family meals, with Christmas meals, and like not that we didn't really overeat. We probably
Mm.
I probably underate a little bit. Danny probably underate a little bit because you just don't really know what you're eating, and your eating schedule's all off. And
Yeah.
when you're in off season, your appetite isn't crazy high, so probably underate a little bit over that period, and that annoys me. It's like, why? That's
Yeah.
just like a waste of time. But ultimately, it was because it's the festive season. You have to be a bit more relaxed. But it was just a bit different this year because we just had so much going on, travel, and then obviously we had the New York trip before that as well. So it just felt like a couple of months there which weren't so good.
Yeah.
Which ultimately that's not great, but it is what it is, and it probably served us some time off the gas, which is equally as important as being on track 24/7. I think so.
Of course. Yeah.
I don't know.
Hands down. Yeah.
Want to limit that as much as possible, though. 2 years of off season and a lot of it's got to count. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. I agree. This is weird. I don't know why I'm going to mention this, but I don't know why I was thinking about it. I was on the pendulum. I don't know why, yeah, but the pendulum makes me like, I don't know, it makes me like fart quite a lot, like I'm squeezed out of poo. And I had someone spot me. I don't know why I'm actually saying this. I had someone spot me on the pendulum the other day, and obviously I farted. And
Oh.
my gym's very like compact. Like you might look big on the camera and stuff like that, but it's a very small gym, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's busy. There's a lot of people around you, and I had like three eyes on me after that. Like just it was a proper like ripper.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done that yourself, mate. Just on the pendulum, or anything that requires a lot of depth and a lot of kind of like
Anal opening.
Yes, a lot of like spreading down the bottom, and then came up, and I was like, oh shit, and he spotted me in that as well. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, I thought I had to liven that up a bit just from that. And I was like, oh my, just carried on, just like, that was weird.
No, I can't say I've had that before. Didn't you actually like have to
that,
replace your boxes on the leg press?
Yeah, that was a leg press. Yeah. That's just that was embarrassing, but that was funny at the same time. Training commando after that was a bit like weird, and I didn't feel like
cock and balls just hanging out.
Yeah, it felt okay, but then you build up some sweat and stuff like that. Then you just get more kind of lines coming through especially if you wear grey joggers like me, just come through, and nightmare that. I let one go, and I thought I was gonna have a repeat of what I had on the leg press before. So luckily I didn't, but this time I had people actually kind of notice. Oh god, George has let one go there. We all heard that, especially the people around me, because it was bloody compact, typical. You know what I mean? Like typical. But that was a fun moment of the week, which I forgot to mention.
I wonder if I reckon people can relate to that though.
Oh yeah,
I don't
hands
know.
down.
Like I've never seemed to have like it's the same with being sick. Like I don't think I've ever been sick in a leg session.
No.
And I don't think I've ever shat myself either. Not that I can recall. So have you ever tried a single leg press? Because I reckon that would probably open up the
single. Sorry.
Single leg press.
I've tried it. Yeah, I've tried it, but it hasn't.
Because that's quite a deep stretch in the anus area.
Yeah, no, I've just had the pendulum's terrible for it, and also the leg press. If you use some depth on that, especially the pendulum is terrible. Ooh,
yeah, because you can really sort of sink deep, bury it,
and
and you're exerting a lot.
Oh yeah, bury, spread, and back up. So that was fun. And I don't know where I was going with that, but I farted.
No, it's fantastic, mate. It's
I'm sure someone's done it.
More
so
comfortable about their
you're not the only one.
Their flaunting
themselves. Yeah, it's all good.
Right.
Don't know why the fuck I came up with that. Just on my mind. You know when you have something on your mind, you just get it off your mind.
No, it's productive. It's productive stuff, mate. Where are we at in terms of time? And let's have a look and then see if we need to go into questions. All right,
4 minutes.
Cool. Do you want to open up yours first? You've got quite a few.
I do have quite a few, believe it or not. Okay, so I need to hurry up with this.
I'd say I've got about 15.
If you could pick one exercise per.
My story was far too long yesterday, so probably majority of my followers aren't even
Okay,
seen
yeah.
it, probably
So
given up by now.
Aaron, my client, he goes, log booking when you're training at different gyms. Stick to it 100% or play around with a new bit of kit.
I personally like to play around with a bit of new kit. Like, the amount of times that I do go to a new gym is quite irregular. So I'm usually between two, like here and Ultraflex. So
Mhm.
I tend to just like have a play around with a bit of kit, but I would keep the movement, like the same movement profiles. So if I'm doing like a horizontal row or a vertical row, I'll keep the same profile. Um, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. What
Yeah.
about you?
I just log mainly my main movements, like a barbell bench press or something
Yeah,
like
of
that.
course. Yeah.
But on the kind of movements where, I just want to try something I haven't tried before, I pretty much just close my logbook because, like, all the weights, all the machines, they move differently compared to what you're usually like. I always go to a different gym or a new gym or try a new piece of kit, and I'm sore as fuck the next day just from just how the kit moves differently to my one at my gym or whatever. So I just
That's
log
the
the main.
issue.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
log my main movements and just enjoy the rest of the session. Whether I go up to a little bit of fluff work or whatever it is, try something new. I change it up a little bit, but yeah, just log the main movements is my personal
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. You just don't want to do it too often, because again, you're just like full out routine with actually overloading a movement that's the same.
Hmm.
Um, so ideally, keep to the same gym as much as you can, or the same gyms for your specific rotations, because you'll see better progress as well. Like, for example, something as hard as the hack squat. Like, I wouldn't have been able to progress that if I was going between like four different hacks. I just have to do that hack and commit to it.
Yep,
So yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
totally same.
yeah,
Yep, totally same.
yeah.
Uh, what else have I got? These are quite actually long ones where I have to read for about 2 seconds.
I've got a quick
Um,
one. What's our thoughts on classic posing in natural bodybuilding?
oh,
Like
my
vacuums and all the hitting a frontable bicep like that, and
I think it suits some people. If you have like the flow and you have that physique, then I think it works brilliant. Like if you look good with a vacuum, some people just look horrendous with a vacuum, and it's
yeah,
just like, no, mate, you look better doing something else. But I think if you've got like the classic physique, you got kind of proportions are there, then do it. I have no problems with it if you
yeah,
look good. But if you're trying to look good and you haven't simply genetically not structured or you cannot pull a vacuum in as well as what you should be doing, then no, don't bother doing it.
yeah.
I've never done a vacuum in my life. I've practiced, but I've never. I wouldn't be able to hit one on stage. I don't think unless I start practicing right now.
No,
And I don't think it'll look pretty either
no.
on me
I don't
myself.
think, like, unless you have a classic physique, you're very right. Unless you have a classic physique, don't hit classic poses.
Yep,
Pretty simple.
yep, totally agree.
That's like
That
small waist, ginormous lats.
yep,
You've got those good arms. Hit classic poses. If you don't, you'll just look like a sore thumb.
yep. I totally agree. What factors make you decide it's time for a mini cut? We've gone through that before, one of those before, haven't we?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think we've covered that before.
Yep.
Just like
Uh,
general lethargy, energy sort of. Well, not energy. Energy will still be decent, but just general lethargy. Feeling essentially like you've hit a threshold of performance as well. What you got to look at in terms of performance variables and increasing body weight is like, are you going to get more performance out of raising your body weight? If you're not, then there's probably no reason to raise your body weight.
yep.
Then if you've held that top end body weight for like a month, then you're probably due a mini cut by that point. Because if you've really hit a body weight threshold, you probably need to come down to be in a favourable place for partitioning of nutrients and just general like actual gaining more tissue. So yeah,
Totally
I would
agree.
recommend resetting at that point where you've hit sort of the peak threshold.
Yep, this one's relates to you because I've been reading your forum and hitting certain things 3 times a week, but opinions on not taking rest days if you feel good.
Sure.
So that second bit relates to you definitely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
dive into that and let us know your thoughts.
Sure. So yeah, recently with my current rotation and split, I've been more auto-regulating my rest days, and that may well be like taking a rest day after 2 training days. That may be taking a rest day after 5 training days, after 6 training days. It totally depends what sort of response I'm getting. So like for example, yesterday my actual planned next rest day was to do like, Thursday and try and get 6 on, but I
Yeah.
just wouldn't have been able to do it. Like today, last night, I just felt like a beaten up little shit. I just felt awful
Yeah.
after that hack, and the fatigue of that session that caught up with me was basically requiring me to take the rest day today. So with auto-regulated rest days, you've got to understand fatigue really well, because what you've got to do with that approach is you've got to understand how you're going to feel tomorrow in training when in a session today, and that's really hard for an intermediate trainee or like a novice trainee. You're gonna need to schedule rest days, and I'd recommend 2 rest days a week.
Definitely.
So I'd recommend like a 3 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off in a week. That tends to work really, really well. And in that setup, you at least know when you're resting, so you can schedule, different things within work, social events, etc. on your rest days. And that just works better for most people. But when you're a bit more advanced, you can start auto-regulating rest days to a degree. But you've got to be willing to take them when you need them, because otherwise you will just get hurt. And I've been there before, where I've not really neglected rest, but just not listened to my body when I need probably an extra rest day, gone and trained, and then either had a mediocre session or just got hurt.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I classify like accumulating too much fatigue as just as bad as an injury, to be honest. Because if you accumulate so much fatigue that your next sessions, even amongst a rest day, are affected in a negative way, you've essentially regressed from stimulating a hypertrophic response. You've stopped your ability to provide overload in your sessions, and that's just the same as getting a niggle. If you get a niggle, you can't overload. If you gather too much fatigue, you can't overload. So treat your rest days, and when you take them, really highly, because otherwise you will simply go backwards, and that's not productive for anyone. So just definitely consider that as you move forwards with your rest days.
And the first part in regards to hitting certain things 3 times a week. Yeah, what's your thought process on that?
Small body parts, you can get away with it. Bigger, more
same as me.
systemically fatiguing body parts, no way.
Absolutely.
I mean, some people that aren't too strong and aren't too big could probably get away with larger body parts 3 times per week. But once you get to a certain degree of strength, there's no way in hell you're training your quads 3 times a week or your hamstrings 3 times a week. Like you've got to be recovering really, really well, managing your upper body volume extremely well to be able to train those body parts 3 times a week. Body parts that can be trained 3 times a week are like, side delts, arms, abs, definitely the glutes. The glutes for females can be trained sort of 3 to 4 times a week. I mean, they can be pretty much trained every day if you're really sensible with it.
Yeah.
Same with arms. You could probably get away with training arms every day and not really impact things too much. But the issue is, so that's more acute fatigue. So acute fatigue we can manage through sort of levels of soreness and just generally sort of how the body parts are recovering and affecting other sessions like our pressing or our pulling. With systemic fatigue, we're more so looking at like not just the body part itself that's providing fatigue, but we're looking at like overall systemic stress. So we're looking at central nervous system and our motivation levels as a result. Our ability to like focus on a session is compromised because we're ballsed up. Our eyes are filled up with fatigue that we just can't take anymore. And it's the same. It's the same instance like why I'm taking a rest day today is because yesterday's session was so systemically fatiguing. Even now today, like my chest muscles and my shoulder muscles feel ready to go. I could go and train my chest and my shoulders, and it could probably be an okay session. But the issue is, I'm still accumulating a degree of total fatigue. So I'm filling my battery level up, more and more fatigue, and by the point at which it's full, I'm not only going to affect my body parts in terms of them feeling sore, but I'm just going to affect my ability to output in general. My output and my general strength and power is going to go down. And that output potential is what you need to is what you need to be able to overload and progress. If your output potential isn't there, you're going to go backwards. So take it seriously.
I'd agree on that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
At the moment, myself, I'm doing abs 3 times a week, calves 3 times a week,
Nice.
arms 3 times a week, and probably um, that's probably it. That's probably it right now for me at the moment, and I
Yeah.
can get away with that. And just remember, if frequency is higher, volume needs to be lower. Simple as that. You can't get away with doing things crazy amounts of volume. You can't expect to get doing 10 sets of calves every other day
No,
and
no, no.
expecting to get away with it. So just keep that in mind as well when it comes to programming. But yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
that answers the question. Day
I
underscore.
got a good question.
Okay.
Let me just bring it up so I can see who it's from. So it's from underscore Beck underscore AM. Beck Am. So if you wanted to do more than 2 sets for an exercise, would you do more top sets or more down sets? And why? So do you want to take this response
Good
first, and
question.
then I'll share my thoughts, and I'll probably agree with you.
Personally, you will give a more detailed answer, but myself right now, I'd go for the more I'd go for the more top end sets. No,
Okay.
I'd go for more of like a. It depends. To be fair, I'll go through phases where I'll add like an extra kind of 6 to 9 rep range on a barbell bench press, but on a movement like a hammer strength, I'll probably go towards the 10 to 12 rep range. And I think the reason behind that is just I can only give like I know if I did 2 sets of 6 to 9 rep ranges on a barbell bench press, I think that would probably do it for me. That's enough in
Yeah.
regards to just overall fatigue because I know I'd have to drop the weight and stuff like that. So um, I think it's hard. I vary. I chop and change. I'm very inconsistent with my program in regards to where to add sets and stuff like that. But it depends on the movement. What I would do. A kind of hammer strength movement, I'd aim for more a 10 to 12 rep range,
Yeah.
or something like that. And a more kind of compound movement, I'd look to add my top set up to an extra set.
Yeah.
And there's no
Absolutely.
real. Yeah, it's just
So
yeah, it varies. It varies. So
yeah, I think you're very right in saying it varies massively. So also it depends on what we're training. So just like I mentioned with overall fatigue that we're looking to accumulate, if you're going to add work to low rep ranges on like a leg day, so let's say I wanted to add like another low rep range set on my hack squat, that's going to be very taxing on your central nervous system, and
hmm
your ability to recover from that is just going to take a toll into your other sessions, not only in that leg session but your pushes and your pulls, everything else. So that's got to be considered. Then it's got
yeah,
to be considered like, what do you feel the best connection with? So I have some of my clients that feel better connections in high rep ranges. I have some of my clients that feel better connections in low rep ranges. I have some clients that are really strong in low rep ranges. I have some clients that are really strong in high rep ranges.
hmm
So which do you want to develop more? If we're looking to create a hypertrophic response, like, you need to actually get like good at both. You need your low rep work to fuel up your high rep work, or your high rep work to fuel up your low rep work.
yeah,
So for example, even like someone like Danny, for example, is really, really strong in high rep ranges, not so good in low rep ranges. So
hmm
she loves training like anything above 8s, basically, but anything below 8, and the loading isn't much greater. Like, it's not, because she just can't seem to respond well to those sets. So if you're looking to obviously, utilize an off season well, you'd want to get a little bit better at the low rep work, but you'd also want to
yeah.
really You'd also want to really utilize your good ability at the high rep work to get in a bunch of really good volume. So
Yeah,
it depends. It depends. It depends.
yeah, I
Um,
agree. Um,
Also, remember when you're looking at like the 2 sets and blah blah blah, like, please consider the whole session, because when someone says they're doing 2 sets or an exercise, consider how many exercises they're doing. Because if you go in and your session is like, for example, you're a novice trainee and you're doing like 8 total sets for chest in 1 week, or something like that, very low volume. Like, you could do way more. You could do like probably up to like 14 at a threshold. Most people tend to see issues with chest above like 22 sets per week. That's a
mhm.
lot. That's a lot of work. But I tend to hover, with my chest being weak, I tend to hover in anywhere between 18 and 20 sets per week, which is probably the upper thresholds, but still, like, making sure that you utilize volume as a tool as well as intensity is important, because a lot of people tend to forget volume. Like, and just, you know, think about, oh, okay, he does this workout and he's got a lot of muscle, so I'll just
Yep.
copy that workout. It's like what we said earlier. It's just not.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. You need to think a
Yeah.
bit more outside of the box. You know.
It's like, for example, JP went through a stage of doing like one set on a particular movement. He was doing like 6 sets a session
Yeah.
on his pressing. And unfortunately, that might work for him great, but you're not him. You're not 250 pounds at 5'6". You're going to be like me. You're going to be 150 pounds. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, JP is great and stuff like that, but a lot of people are like, I need to do 8 sets because JP's doing it. No, you definitely do not. You probably need to do a little bit more a little bit more.
A lot more, yeah.
And yeah, regarding that, like myself, like if I did like 3 sets of a deadlift, I always think to myself, and I've been a little bit smarter with it. I've always thought, right, if I do another set of this, will it affect the rest of my session? And normally with like a deadlift or like any kind of compound move, like a barbell, squat or bench press, I always find that yes, it's going to contribute to some sort of, like, I know my loading sets in my incline dumbbell press next or whatever it may be is going to be affected, obviously. And I think from that standpoint, I think, I don't know. Like I find, is the deadlift really worth that extra set I did on a deadlift really worth me kind of losing out on the rest of the session? And from my standpoint, I think no. I think I'd rather kind of put a little bit more work into, let's say, I don't know, a chest supported T-bar row, or something like that. And that's my opinion on it. So just question, right, do I really need another set here, or have I accumulated enough volume and enough fatigue in these 2 sets, and I can move on? Because like I said last week, there's nothing worse than you do an extra set, thinking that you're getting 10 reps or planning to get 10 reps, and you get 6, and you think, well, I shouldn't have done that set. So it's all about being a little bit smart. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
Got time for another one, or
let's take one more.
Okay, one more. Potential for various heights. 20 weeks now. Do you provide no? Okay, so this one, B Cocker _ Cocker. Do you provide meal plans or just recommend recommendations for clients, as some prefer spoon-fed ways? So are you more of a meal? Do you provide meal plans or just recommendations for clients, as some prefer spoon-fed way?
Do they? Do they prefer a spoon-fed way? Who here actually sticks to a meal plan like every single day? Like the only person that probably will do that is someone who has the same sort of psychological traits as Jack Thorburn, which is very few humans on this planet. So like, if I gave a meal plan to someone that's like, you know, for example, their first time competing, like, unless I know that person very well, I'm not confident they're going to be hitting that meal plan every single day. They're going to start to, you know, look for food rotations. They're going to start to swap things. They might not even have a general awareness of nutrition to be able to swap things for, you know, calorie for a calorie, which is just awful. So I much prefer giving people macronutrients and then obviously allowing them to track on MyFitnessPal. But then being very, very strict, especially with, you know, people dieting down for bodybuilding shows. I'm very, very strict with understanding what they're eating. So I'll be sure to request a MyFitnessPal either login or just seeing their day. Some people just record their screen, showing their day. That's perfect too. Obviously, you know, outside of that, it's like recommendations of the peri-workout window. So what should your pre-workout meal look like? What should your intra-workout look like? What should your post-workout meal look like? Once all of these are managed, then, you know, we can look into whether you can have a meal plan or not. I think people like run before they can walk with nutrition, like a lot.
Yeah.
They try and like make everything perfect with like a meal plan approach or, you know, whatever, and they simply can't stick to it. Ultimately, what is going to get you results is sticking to an approach that works, and being consistent with it. And, you know, if that's a meal plan for you, then fair play. But like eating the same foods for, like, you know, most of my clients are going to be dieting for 20 plus weeks. Eating the same foods for 25 weeks, like the same exact foods day in, day out. I'd argue that that's not actually optimal, because if we look into like digestion, gut health, and just generally having a diverse diet, you want some degree of food rotation there. You want to be able to swap your carb sources now and again a little bit. You want to be able to swap, a few foods around, like protein sources here and there, just a little bit, just to create a bit of diversity. Even if that's, rest day versus a training day, you swap your food options a little bit. That's fine. That's a decent amount of diversity. But what a lot of people do is, they think that by setting a meal plan 7 days a week of the same foods, that's going to be optimal, and that makes them more, hardcore or consistent. It really doesn't. It doesn't make any difference at all. I'm sure
I totally agree. I agree. When I first started coaching, I would give all my clients meal plans.
Yeah.
And I started that because I wanted to manage all the variables possible. But now, I went, nah, fuck the meal plans. Because what happened is clients were coming to me saying, George, can we change this? Can we change that? Can we do this? Can we do that? And like I said, it might work for 3 or 4 weeks, but you're going to get bored of it in the same shit all the time. You know what I mean? So we transitioned to macros, and that setup is a lot better. And obviously, I used MyFitness. I got the MyFitnessPal username, so I can look at their diaries. And each check-in, I'll teach them. Look, this is kind of where I want you to situate your carbohydrates, your proteins, and definitely your fats.
Yeah.
And then what I'll do each check-in is I'll just have a little look through on the diary for the week. And I'll question, why are you having this? Is there any better options? Could you potentially change this to that? I always question what they're doing, because it could be a case of you, like had a client eating 10 rice cakes and he's eating like 500 grams of carbs. I'm thinking, can we not? And he's saying it was hard to eat 10 rice cakes. I'm thinking there's a lot better options out there than 10 rice cakes, which is going to give you a jaw ache. Perhaps changes something like this and that. And people are like, I actually didn't think of that, and little bits and bobs like that. So, always question why, but I always like to look at in regards to what they're eating and ensure that they're not saving fucking 300 calories for a pint of Halo Top towards the end of the night.
Yeah, exactly.
It does work.
You can and things like that.
Yeah, you can do that, but it's just personally, in my opinion, I don't want to preach that. But no, apart from that, I need to find my charger, mate, because I'm on 1%, which is not good.
Oh dear, it's all right. We're closing in on the end. We can probably look to cap this up anyway. But yeah, mate, I totally agree with your answer there. Fantastic in terms of just making sure that people are doing things right from a basic level. Not giving them everything all at once as well, because if you set a new client up and their goal is just to lose a little bit of weight and get ready for a holiday or whatever, and you submerge them with a meal plan, they're going to be like, I can't do this.
Absolutely.
Likewise,
totally
with the macros approach, a lot of people find it stressful to put in their food into MyFitnessPal. They find that it takes ages to try and get to the macros, and at the end of the day, like all it takes, and I said this to some of my new clients, like it's very rarely that this happens because most of my clients are educated on this front, but some of them will message me saying, "Oh, I can't do this. I can't put my food into MyFitnessPal. I can't do it." I remember it quite frequently with general population clients back in the sort of 2015, 2016 as well. It's like, how long have you tried for? How long have you tried for? And they're like, oh, don't know, like ages and not ages. They've sat down for 5 or 10 minutes, tried, and basically failed and given up at the first hurdle. So, it's like, the first time your weight doesn't drop in a week on prep and you just think, fuck this, I'll give up. Like, guys, it's good luck, because it doesn't come to you that easily. Like, you're going to have weeks and issues and phases in bodybuilding or fat loss or muscle gain or whatever where shit doesn't go your way, and you got to be able to push through that. If you don't push through that, you're not going to make any progress. If you're not willing to push through a little bit of hard stuff, and mate, the amount of people out there that are not willing to push through that is stark. Like, there's so many people out there that are not willing to push through a little bit of hard stuff, and that's why there's very few top level successful bodybuilders out there, is because people aren't willing to just push through a little bit of hard stuff. The video that Hollingshead made on his Instagram the other day was great. And then I think a hypertrophy coach made another one as well, sort of saying, if you're not prepared to do the same sort of stuff day in, day out, you're not prepared to be a bodybuilder. And that's so true. Unfortunately, bodybuilding is a very repetitive process, extremely repetitive. Of course. But you've got to be willing to be able to do that day in, day out, to be able to get closer to where you want to be. And there's a very small percentage of people that actually want to do that. They want something more exciting. They want, something easier. Can we not make this easier? It's too hard doing the same thing day in, day out. No. If you want
Exactly.
results, you got to be able to like just lock in and do the work.
Exactly. I totally agree. I totally agree. It's all about as well. I tell my clients to fucking plan the night before what you're eating the next day, if you
Yeah.
can. Don't be going to the last meal and I've got 10 protein, 15 carb, and 65 grams of fat. How the fuck am I going to do that? Plan.
Plan of attack. Absolutely.
There you go. That's my shout to you people out there. If any clients watch me, make sure you fucking plan your nights out or plan your day out, I should say.
Yeah.
I'd be coming to me and say,
It's
look,
not
George, I don't
hard.
want to
It's
fit
not
in here.
hard.
Yeah, it's not hard. And some people just eat the same shit every day, which is fine. I don't care. As long as you're nailing what I give you, brilliant.
Yep.
So
Yep. Bit of
make sure you plan.
diversity, bit of swaps here and there. It's not a hard task.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Cool. Sweet. I think we'll leave it there for
Hour.
another week.
Yep. Perfect. Yep.
Wicked, man. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for listening as usual. Any suggestions on the name, like we said, just list below. And share us on your story as always if you can. If you've enjoyed the episode, let me know or let us know if there's anything you want to particularly see in the future. And yeah, we'll chat soon.
Yep. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.